Okay, this is just going to be a quick vid for the Super Nintendo Mini or SNES-2 or SNES Junior. What I have here is restored RGB and S-Video, but I'm feeding it to an xrgb-3 upscan converter. I've never had one of these. The customer let me borrow this, and I just need to prove it out a little bit for him actually. So I'm actually feeding it with a SCART cord that he lent me, and it's an official Nintendo SNES RGB SCART cord to the game end of the xrgb-3, and then I have both DVI and analog RGB output hooked up on the back of the xRGB, and I am feeding it to the PC input on my LCD TV. You can see it says PC, but as soon as I go up to HDMI, the picture is lost, and I'm not sure if that's some setting in the xrgb-3, but I can't even get the menu to come up with this. And the cord is untested otherwise, because I don't really have anything with DVI on one end and HDMI on the other. So it could be the cord, it could be I'm doing something wrong or whatever, but it does work on a PC input. And I assume that's just because it's converting it from 15 kilohertz to 30 kilohertz, or just upscaling it to higher resolution, because normally I wouldn't expect PC input to work at all on the LCD TV. Kind of like, you know, I mean, I get questions all the time about, you know, I have an RGB input on my TV, on my flat screen TV, and I'm like, no, it's not the same, because it's not. It's meant to be used as a computer monitor, not as an RGB monitor for an old school game system. But anyway, this appears to work for the analog RGB out to the PC input on the TV. So, and I was really concerned that somehow I was feeding our xrgb-3 S-Video, which I don't really think the SCART connector has S-Video, but it could have been using some of the pins as S-Video. So I actually disconnected S-Video on the mod that I did, and I still get the same picture. So that's good. It is actually feeding RGB to the xRGB, and then analog whatever out to the TV. And he has added scan lines, so it does look more CRT realistic. Very, very nice. Just a little bit of a quick close-up of the RGB and S-Video restore mods. They all come from this chip. I've also done a region-free switch on this console. On the bottom you can see I have unsoldered my leads for S-Video, Chroma and Luma right there, but RGB are soldered into the multi-out port. So I'll put it back together here and do some more testing. Okay, it's all back together. I did want to prove that S-Video was hooked up. So I'll put on video in, pull the RGB, and my purple SNES cord is S-Video output. It's actually quite a bit brighter in red. The RGB back in, put it back on PC input, and there's my RGB through the xRGB. Hit the menu so you can see it on screen, maybe. Yeah, the menu comes up on the xRGB. I think we're done.